Welcome back in. Don't know where Noah was last week. He's a bad guy, so don't be shocked. You wanted to talk about Marty Supreme. I recorded a Marty Supreme video last night at midnight
I know.
after the movie because I was excited and I did it with Q. So we can talk about it a little bit. But if you want to go and watch that video about Marty Supreme and everything about that movie, because that movie was sick, please go and watch it on the channel as well. So sorry about that, Noah. Um, for today, I just have a few things on the agenda. I want to talk a little bit about Kyle Shanahan. I want to talk also about how the Bills and Josh Allen and their expectations for this season and what it looks like going into the playoffs. And then I want to talk about the Rams a little bit. And then I want to talk about Black Monday because it's officially approaching where after week 18, Black Monday, the first Monday after the season, a lot of people get canned usually on that day. And I feel like I'm predicting that it is going to be a hot day. Do you have anything else that you want to do today?
Just the blind ranking, and then good to go.
Yeah, we could talk about Marty Supreme too. I mean, I can't get enough of that movie. I mean, I thought it was great. So
Yeah, I went and saw it Friday right after Christmas, and so I was I didn't even really I didn't know a ton of like the backstory about Marty Supreme, just besides the fact that he was a ping pong player. But I have nothing but good things to say about that movie. I know that we've talked a good bit about Timothy Chalamet on this podcast, but like he's just the man. Like he's the chosen one of our like generation when it comes to movies. Like he's going to be like how people that like Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio are like two goats. Like he's entering that like that is where he is heading
yeah, he's
trajectory
on the
wise.
trajectory. I said this last night, and I want to hear what you have to think about it too. Is I said that this is like our first actor, almost like a little bit in the way. We all sit like in the same age bracket pretty much as Timothy Chalamet, and we like I feel like he like identifies with like normal people like really well, and like is into like all of the stuff that like I know that like me and you are into for sure. And he's just like he's such a chameleon, and he does a crazy weird job of like having all of these interests that he's like super interested in, but also just being able to be like, even though his interest might be like nerdy, or he's not afraid to like make a fool out of himself. Like when he walked in with like doing like the Batista
Yeah.
entrance, like he doesn't care, and he's just like still like effortlessly cool. So like yeah, I think he's our age bracket like first like actor to like really pop and be getting like these big time roles that everybody are talking about.
He also did the Soldier Boy dance, and I think I forget where that interview was, but it was on this like circular stage. He was walking out, it was Marty Supreme like promo, and he's just doing like dancing to like Soldier Boy. And it's like and I didn't get a chance to finish it this morning, but I was listening to the podcast with him and Carmelo and I think it's Mero, and I forget who
Yeah.
the last guy is, and he's kind of just talking about how he like just growing up in New York. He's like he was like I feel just like a normal guy. He's like I feel like a normal guy that just like so happens to be famous. He's like I love like all this random stuff that kind of everybody my age is interested in. He's like I love the Knicks, like I love all this stuff. He's just like I just so happen to be like famous.
Yeah.
And that's like cool to see somebody not be too cool to talk about those types of things. Because nowadays you see celebrities, and maybe it's a little bit less now, but because everybody's on any type of podcast whenever they have a movie coming out. But he seems like genuinely
Yeah, but it's
interested
different.
in all this stuff. Yeah, yeah,
It's
he's
way different.
genuinely.
The podcast, that the way that he appears on podcasts and his image is way different from like anything else, where he's able to cross the lines of like being able to like be himself and like also being professional at the same time, when like it feels like other people are like just focused on like being professional, it feels like. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but like you can come off as like a little bit flat, or like it's hard to identify with somebody who does something like that. He's super easy to identify with, like, it's everything that he does.
He's authentic, and it's easy to come off as inauthentic when you're going out and promoting a movie. But yeah, I thought the movie was great. I was shook about the intro. Um, when
I thought it
I
was
don't want to.
sick.
No, I thought it was all great. I was like,
Yeah.
what the heck is happening right now
It
when it
was
turns
just
into a ping
about
pong ball?
everything was just about like him like just trying to be the best at everything, and it started even with that, where it was like he was the best at getting to the A as a sperm.
Yeah,
He was a winner, and like
yeah.
just like transferring it into like the very opening scene to what it was. Yeah, I mean, it was a timepiece for sure. Like, it definitely felt like you were like in the 50s, and it was cool. I really appreciated the movie. I think I said this immediately after I tweeted it as well. I think that might be like one of my favorite sports movies I've ever watched in my entire life, because it is a sports movie.
It is. Yeah, it was. I mean, ping pong is definitely a sport. It's in the Olympics. It's I off the top of my head, I can't really think of any other ones. I mean, it being ping pong is like a crazy aspect just because I feel like Timothy Chalamet is probably one of the only types of guys that is going to find that type of small niche and be like, yeah, I'm going to make a badass movie about this guy and it's just going to be one of the best. Cuz like who else is going to do that and make it as big of a hit as he is?
Probably not. I think a lot of it, obviously the movie stands the test of times. Like, when you watch it, it holds up to like all of the hype. I personally think, like, no, not even questioning it, honestly.
Yeah.
But like just the marketing push that he did on his end too, it was just everything about it was perfect. So yeah, I mean, shout out to him. I think he really has like he's got a real pulse on like what works and what doesn't, and I'm excited to see like what project he does like next. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the promo was awesome. The ping pong balls. I don't know if they had them at the movie theater you went to, but I did see a video of a like candy dispenser type thing, but it was full of Marty Supreme ping pong balls, and it was like a quarter to get one.
I didn't.
Um,
I wish.
they didn't have one in mine either, but I did see videos of people getting them, which I thought was pretty sick. I would have absolutely gotten one, but I think the merch was good. Um, and what that's another thing too is it's kind of it's great how this all kind of intertwines with like music and like a, what the new version of promotion of an event is. So like I think Travis was kind of like the one that really set it all off where it's like how many other times are you seeing people put out like a pretty thorough merch line of um clothing for their show or for a movie or for something like that. And it's like he Timothy Chalamet like absolutely has it dialed in. And I thought that was pretty sick to see. And that's something that I haven't really heard anybody talk about is like I don't really feel like I see a ton of merch for movies, and at least anymore, it used to be like a much bigger thing. But the that piece of it was cool to see.
Yeah, I think that it just all comes down to like actually having like a real plan and like executing on said plan and like making it a thing. Like, that's I talk about it. We talk about it all the time with like Travis Scott and like with rappers. It's like, well, why doesn't every rapper try to do something like this? Like, it's like Drake will post a Gildan tee with like for like a For All the Dogs tee and a vinyl, and like nobody really cares about it or buys it. But like if Travis Scott drops the t-shirt and a vinyl on his website, it sells out and people are posting about it and it's like a sought after piece. But that's because he's actually putting time, effort, and energy into it. If you're just like slapping the label on it and calling it a day, nobody else is really going to care about it. So I think it's person dependent. And if you can have somebody that is as good of a salesman as a Travis Scott or as a Timothy Chalamet, then that's the key piece of all of this. Where we're talking about people who are just like exceptional salesmen at the end of the day, who
Yeah.
are able to get people to buy in on a product.
Yeah, I mean, he had people wearing these jackets, like celebrities wearing them up until movie release date, and
NFL players.
yeah, they were every day I would see a new person wearing one on Complex, wearing a Marty Supreme jacket, and it was like, this guy is so dialed in. Like this is how you promote a movie.
Yeah, that's how. But again, that just is that going to be as important to somebody else as it is to him? Like maybe I could see him being somebody who's like way more concerned about like creating a movement of some sort rather than just like the movie itself, where like a lot of people are probably just going to be like go to the red carpet movie event, like go on the Tonight Show and like call it a day pretty much. Like he did all of that, but he did it with the Bob Dylan movie too, where he like went on Theo
Yeah.
Von. He like went on Nardwar and like stuff like that, where
Yep.
he knows where to like hit people's like heartstrings almost with like the nostalgia pieces of it to buy into like what no matter like what he's doing.
I think he just like captures so many people in his audience when he is doing things like this, because not only is he a great actor and has he put out great movies, but like he's like tapping into like it feels like another group of people where he's putting out cool merch and he's making an appeal when he was talking about like the wrestling stuff. Like he's making an appeal to like so many different groups of people, and it just so happens that like it's natural and he likes all that shit. So hats off to him. He's the goat. I'm excited to see what this next movie is going to be about. It's going to be something so random, because that kind of just seems like his vibe, where it's like you never know what you're going to get next with Timothy Chalamet, but it's gonna be something good.
Question for you, and then we can move on. Is there Marty Supreme 2? Because I feel like that the way that the movie ended, spoiler alert, obviously, the way that the
Yeah,
movie ended, where he finally gets over the hump, he's not able to play in the world championship against the Japanese guy. He does beat him though.
yes,
The guy who he's banging his wife, like he kind of wins him over in that moment where like he obviously doesn't let him fly home on the private plane, but you can see in his eyes like he's like, I can't break this kid at
no,
all. Like he's just that locked in. And then like finally he like has that kid and he finally becomes like a human being and like cries and like becomes vulnerable. But at some point, like I feel like that they left that as like an open-ended possibility for a potential sequel.
I mean, I could see it. I think there's a lot of different, like I think there's enough there to build off of and make another movie, but I don't know. This kind of does just feel like that's where it ends. Like I don't
A
think there
lot
will
of
be another one,
a
but
lot of
there is
sports
room for
movies
another one.
a lot of sports movies have sequels.
I know, like Air Bud's got a
Yeah.
bunch.
A lot of it. Listen, do I want it to happen? Like deep down, no, probably not. But I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world if it does happen because I think the character was like really great. So I do
But I
think
think
that
like I was gonna say, I think like the fact that he did beat the Japanese guy was like enough for him to conquer that demon of I did this, I got this,
yeah, but
and
you don't
now
want to
he's
see him win a world championship because I
oh,
do.
I'd love to. That'd be sick, but that'd be awesome. But and then rub it in the Indian guy's face.
Yeah,
But I I don't know. I think that what it was like a complete storyline. I don't think they need to do another one, but there is room for
for
a
it to happen.
yeah.
I'm right with
Yeah.
you. All right, let's keep it pushing here. So the first thing I want to talk about moving into football here is the NFL has somebody who is undervalued at this point, who has turned into a grandmaster of the game of chess that is the NFL. And what he has been doing in this 2025 season has been nothing short of incredible. And that is Kyle Shanahan. They have had a slew of injuries across the board. They've had drama amongst their top stars where Brandon Ayuk, they pay him $100+ million contract, and he is the first player ever to get CTE from a knee injury, and he is clearly unstable, and he just isn't going to play football this year, and he'll probably never play football for the San Francisco 49ers ever again. And they are still able to hover above a level that most teams would love to be able to reach, even though with all of the injuries on defense. And we're not talking about like some guys that they're missing. They're missing Fred Warner and they're missing Nick Bosa, who are probably two of the most important defensive players in the entire NFL, alongside of a whole bunch of other players like Michael Williams, who they took in the first round this year. A bunch of guys who they're just missing, who would be impact players currently on this team. And regardless, they sit at 12-4. They sit at second in the division with an opportunity next week to not only win the division, but be the number one seed in the NFC and get the bye from the Seattle Seahawks. And it's just nothing short of incredible. And I feel like nobody is talking about, I feel like Kyle Shanahan has become like the redheaded stepchild a little bit, where like people are like, oh, he can't get it done. But like what he's able to do on a year-to-year basis is just absolutely ridiculous. And I think to date, this is one of his best coaching jobs of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he held this ship together with Mac Jones um, coming in and filling the role a little bit while Brock Purdy was injured this season, and they lost what 3 games with him. Brock Purdy 2 games with him, right? Like Brock Purdy's played in I think it's 10 games and they're or 9 games and they're 8-1 with Brock Purdy, but to do that incredible of a job with Mac Jones coming in and being quarterback and almost not even really missing a beat offensively, like, is a testament to how great of a head coach he is. I mean, we pretty much give him his flowers week in and week out here, but I agree with you. I think this has been an incredible job with, especially with all the injuries that they have on the defensive side of the ball. I think that the Super Bowl is pretty wide open, but I think that the 49ers are, I don't know, they're playing their best football down the stretch when it matters the most. And to me, they are the scariest team in the NFC.
Yeah, it stings because I mean I felt like we really watched it on display the other night against the Chicago Bears, where that defense isn't very good right now, obviously, and they gave up a touchdown pretty much every single time they touched the field. They made it a stop when it mattered most, but still, at the end of the day, like, it's still a unit that I'm worried about. But like right now, it's very. I think it's almost sad because I don't think that this iteration of the team could potentially win the Super Bowl. I don't even think get there potentially, but I get where you're coming from, but it's just like it would be a tall task. And if it's able to get done, I mean, well, one, Kyle Shanahan's never won a coach of the year. If he goes out, I think Mike McDonald is the top candidate for coach of the year right now. And then, or like Mike Vrabel. If you're looking at me right now and saying Kyle Shanahan has never won a coach of the year, and he goes out on Sunday in the most important game of the year and snatches the number one seed in the NFC, snatches the division, snatches the bye right out under from the Seattle Seahawks nose. I feel like at some point, with everything that has happened this season, you got to give Kyle Shanahan the coach of the year.
The only other guy that I think is probably up there is I think Vrabel and Liam Cohen are both up there
for sure. He could be too,
for coach of the year discussion. I'm looking at it right now. This article actually came out this morning on BetMGM. I couldn't find anything on FanDuel, but BetMGM
in Pennsylvania
is Vrabel is -145 to be coach of the year, and he is the favorite. But Kyle Shanahan sits at second at +200. So if they go out there and pretty much take care of business, like you said, and snatch the 1 seed, I think that would pretty much solidify.
Yeah.
Even though, in a way tougher division. Yeah, credit to Vrabel, credit to Mike McDonald, credit to Liam Cohen. Like, we actually had some very impressive coaching performances this season. So the margins were very thin here, but for Kyle Shanahan to do this with a diminished defense and his starting quarterback play 9 games this season is a hell of a performance from him.
Absolutely. And I real quick, I want to get into a few other things like what makes him so special. And that is the ability to get the most out of the quarterback position with clear talent disadvantages, but with his scheme and with the running scheme and the passing scheme as well, like as a totality, the coaching makes the quarterback position to be almost like interchangeable in a way. And obviously it hasn't worked with everybody. Like the Trey Lance situation like didn't work out, but if he can find somebody who can give them a safe decent floor that he knows that he can work off of, it's like okay, like this guy is good enough that I can really make this work and have a he's always had a top 10 passing offense by DVOA, and the passing offense has never been an issue. The rushing game, obviously they've had Christian McCaffrey, but you even think like back when they had like Raheem Mostert at running back and he was running wild, and Jeff Wilson, and it didn't matter who was in at running back for the Sanford Elijah. I can't forget his name. He was always hurt, but like
Guarendo,
yeah, Isaac
the Hawaiian
Guarendo,
guy, I think. Yeah,
like it doesn't matter who they have at these positions, like the scheme just accentuates these abilities to make these guys look really good. So shout out to him. And I just wanted to say like about the floor for the quarterback, like the three guys that have played the most football for him like across these like last few years has been like Brock Purdy. He's
yep.
a 7th round pick. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's a 2nd round pick, and Mac Jones, who's a failed 1st round pick, who's already he's on his fourth team or something, yeah, 3rd team already, and he's getting the best out of these guys, and he has been able to keep these teams afloat despite missing on the quarterback position, and where they gave up a ton of draft capital for Trey Lance, and because that was a very clear miss. And I also want to talk about another thing as well, where like I think that like you can sit here and say like, oh, they hit on Fred Warner, they hit on Kittle late, they hit on Debo Samuel in the 2nd round, like all this stuff, and they hit on Brock Purdy in the 7th. Like what they have done in the 1st round of the of the draft since 2017 when Shanahan took over has been like brutal. Like it is like almost if they weren't winning as many games as they've been able to, like this would be a fireable offense for
Yeah,
their GM, which is John Lynch. And I
correct.
just want to go over who they took here. In 2017, they took Solomon Thomas at pick 3, never an All Pro or a Pro
Oh
Bowl.
god,
Mike
oh god.
McGlinchey, tackle, he's on the Broncos now. Nick Bosa,
He's
he's
had a decent
obviously
NFL career.
yeah, but he's not on the team.
Right.
Nick Bosa, he's great. Obviously, he's had some health concerns. He's missed some time, but it is what it is. Javon Kinlaw at pick number 14. He never worked out there. He's on the Commanders now. He's not very good. Trey Lance at pick 3, where they gave up a ton of draft capital for him. That was a clear miss. No 1st round pick the next year. No 1st or 2nd round pick the following year after that. And then they take Ricky Pearsall, and then they take Michael Williams, which I don't think that either of those guys are really top end talents at the position where you're like, okay, we're so happy we got these guys in the 1st round. Ricky Pearsall is obviously later in the 1st, but Michael Williams is a top 10 pick. And I felt like that wasn't justified for the production that he was putting out this year. Obviously he got hurt, and we'll have to see that play out as we go forward. But that is just some clear misses. And like I said, like they have hit on like Kittle, Fred Warner, Debo, Purdy, like all these guys. But if let's just hypothetically say you didn't give up all those picks to get Brock Purdy, and you hit on the picks that you had in the 1st round, I mean, we might be having like completely different conversations about the San Francisco 49ers as like a potential dynasty if they were able to hit on all those picks or even half of them.
I was gonna say, even if they hit on like 3 of them, then it's a
Yeah,
completely different. Then it's a completely different discussion because they have been a few plays away from winning a Super Bowl or
multiple
playing in a
times.
Super Bowl how many times in the last 5 years, right? Like they've been right there. They've been good enough. It's just they haven't gotten a bounce their way. And it's crazy that this is the season where they're kind of getting some bounces to go their way, but they're just so banged up defensively. And I will say my only thing is the Ricky Pearsall. I don't really know if we know exactly what he is yet because he's put together some good games, but he just
He's
hasn't.
made of
I mean, getting
glass.
shot in the chest. Yeah, getting shot
Yeah,
in the chest.
outside of getting shot though, like every time he gets hit, like it's almost like, is he hurt? Like he
Yeah,
got hit the other night and he was like wincing in pain and like on the sideline. I was like, is he really done already? Like there's no way that
yeah,
he's hurt again. So he's just somebody that sticks out to me. And there hasn't been a Super Bowl in the past. I say this all the time in the past like 10 years that haven't involved Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, or Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan has been an integral piece of what the NFL is in its totality. He hasn't gotten the I feel like the praise and respect that he deserves because he hasn't won that Super Bowl, but I feel like it's only a matter of time. Like, do you feel like he'll ever get over that hump?
yeah. I think he will. I think you'd
Yeah.
be foolish to bet against him to never win a Super Bowl in his career. I just think he's too good of a head coach to not ever see one. Um, I I think that they've had some really unfortunate injury luck, not just this year, right? Like they
All the
had some
time.
really
They
unfortunate
don't
luck the
stretch.
last few years. Like they don't.
They don't
They don't.
stretch.
I mean, Christian McCaffrey was injured a few
All last
games,
year.
has been injured all the time, like a few games all the time, right? And in a year where there was a lot of hesitancy around him this off season, as far as is he going to be able to play a full season, this and that. He's come out and he's put together an incredible season, and he's pretty much been the leader of that offense consistently, like week to week, because of some of the inconsistencies elsewhere. Like they've had guys step up, and when Kittle's there, obviously this offense is moving at a different gear, but like they don't have Ayuk. Said it earlier, like Pearsall hasn't been really consistent. You get flashes from Juwan Jennings every few weeks where it's like he can put up a game where he has 8 catches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, but that's not something that you're getting week in and week out from that guy. And since Brock Purdy's been back, he's been playing out of his fucking mind. Like the last 2 games, he's had what, like 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's insane. It's literally insane.
It's crazy. And even before that, I mean, I shit on Mac Jones all the time, but I'll give him credit. The way that he played in the Shanahan offense while Brock Purdy was hurt was great. I mean, he is the type of quarterback that fits this Shanahan system better than somebody that might have more upside. Like I think the Garoppolo, Mac Jones, Brock Purdy type of quarterback where maybe they're not the most athletic, but they can do the little things right. They can hit these intermediate throws. They can run the offense, something that Trey Lance could not do, even though he had more upside potentially than some of these guys. That's really why it didn't work out there, I don't think. But yeah, I got to give Mac Jones some credit here too because he played great
I
while
think you
Brock Purdy was
also
out.
I think you also deserve an apology to Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy has been playing some
Yeah, he
great
has. I said
football.
that he's
And
been playing at a
he's
crazy level.
crazy level. He's playing some of his best football. He's always that good. And I feel like that like people like to kind of take shots at him, but what a game from him the other night where he has multiple touchdowns on the ground. He looked extremely elusive. That touchdown that he threw to Kyle Juszczyk was just like out of this world where he like
Yeah,
made a bunch of defenders miss, stopped, set his feet, ripped one to Juszczyk in the end zone. It was just like, holy shit, like Purdy's actually dialed in. So yeah, shout out to this whole team. It sounds like you might share a different opinion on this. I feel like this would be their year if some of these guys on defense weren't hurt. If Fred Warner wasn't hurt, if Nick Bosa wasn't hurt, this would be like they would be top of the list in odds to win the Super Bowl this year.
I agree with that. I think that if they had even one of those guys healthy, they would be the NFC favorite. But I just don't think that. I think the NFC is so wide open, and I think this is going to be such a fun playoff because I really don't feel like there's any team that has proven like that they're that much better than anybody else. And if you can get one stop in what I guess it'd be 3 games, if you're the Niners, you can win the Super Bowl because their
Yeah.
offense is even without the guys that we've been talking about. If they get Kittle back, which they should get him back next week or at the playoffs, regardless,
Yeah.
that offense is in a different mode. And if Brock Purdy is playing like this, like I think they can win. They just need 3 stops.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're definitely right. And we'll watch that play out obviously, but I just wanted to give Shanahan some of his flowers regardless of the outcome of this upcoming weekend against the Seattle Seahawks and regardless of the outcome that happens in the playoffs. I feel like that this coaching job has just deserves a ton of credit and recognition.
I'm looking at the Brock Purdy game log over the last 3 games, and he went 3 passing touchdowns, 5 passing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, and then this was obviously against the Bears. He had three passing and 2 rushing. So he's put up 5, 10, 13. He's accounted for 13 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks.
Insane. Shout out to them.
So
The next thing I wanted to go into here is things are getting quiet around the Buffalo Bills at this point. And I think it's interesting because we made a video in the beginning of the year where I called myself openly a Buffalo Bills hater because of a few things. I hate that the NFL and the media have just catered to like who Josh Allen is as a player so heavily, and it concluded with the like constant excuses in the playoffs where it's like, oh, it's not his fault, like he did his part, it's the defense, the rule change, the whole nine. It got to the point where the Buffalo Bills were like that fun up and coming new team to the point now where it was just like, okay, like there are a ton of quarterbacks who get a ton of heat all the time. And Josh Allen seems to evade that heat despite never being able to get over the hump, despite having constant where he's playing well in the playoffs, but he's never won deep into the playoffs and be accounting for a ton of turnovers, being at some of the top of the list in turnovers since he's entered the league in 2018. And it feels like he just kind of evades all of these problems or all of this criticism. And he's kind of viewed as the NFL's golden boy. And now in a year in the AFC, where Josh Allen could possibly avoid all of his big time competition in Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. And obviously we have some guys who are potential risers who like, I think of like a Trevor Lawrence and Drake May who have been playing like above like these other guys, like level wise. But the Bills now they lost the division to the Patriots who won 4 games last season. They are heading into the playoffs with some very bad losses on the schedule. And I want to just remind you, I mean, they lost to the Patriots, they lost to the Falcons, they lost to the Dolphins, they got lost to the Texans, and then they lost to the Eagles in a awful game the other night. But like they still were not able to get it done. And Josh Allen had the guy on the 2-point conversion, and it was just flat on him that he missed it. So
Yep.
a lot of this just falls on Josh Allen's shoulders where he needs to make those plays and get things done. But there is, in my opinion, there's just when are people going to, if he loses early in the playoffs this year, or if he doesn't at least make it to the Super Bowl this year, do you think that the walls are going to start to begin to close in on Josh Allen and who he is as a player?
Well, I think for starters, he absolutely deserves plenty of criticism for this season. Because for starters, some of these losses have just been bad. I mean, I get it. The Patriots are better. They split with them. That's out of it. That's besides the point. But we sat here a couple weeks back and watched them lose to the Dolphins in a game where like that wasn't even
lost.
close.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
look lost.
And again, those types of games happen in the NFL, but like when you are held to the standard that Josh Allen is held to, that's a game that you have to go in there and take care of business. I don't care if it's on a Thursday night on a short week or not. And then the other night against Philly, He was bottled up offensively for the first half, and then sort of kind of got it rolling a little bit in the second half, late third quarter into the fourth, but completely botched that 2-point conversion. That's a game they should have won. The Eagles had 7 yards of offense in the second half. Like, that's inexcusable on the Philadelphia side of things. But like, if your defense is going out there and playing that well in the second half and keeping you alive in this game, and you go out there and put up 12 points, like, you deserve plenty of criticism for that.
And that's also like
That's a
their
throw he makes
environment.
9 times out of 10, 10 times
But
out of
that's
10.
but that's their type of environment. It was bad weather. It was
Yeah.
like one of those types of games at home. Like it was just one of those games where you felt like that should be for the Bills to take, and the Philadelphia Eagles just beat them at their own game and made it way harder on that other side to be able to get things done. And it was just a shitty game. But like if you can go into Buffalo and snatch a game where like both teams are going to be at massive disadvantages because it's a torrential downpour for 4 hours straight, then like, yeah, like that's a bad loss for the Buffalo Bills at home. And it, like I said, these bad losses just continue to stack up. So do you think that what is it going to take though for the public, because it still feels like Josh Allen's the golden boy. It still feels like he's floating above this like level of like hate and criticism. What has to happen for people to it sounds crazy, but to like beat him down a little bit, like the same criticism that like Patrick Mahomes gets, the same criticism that like Justin Herbert gets, like all these people like get some sort of level of criticism for not being able to get over the hump, or a decline in play of where they were in years past. And Josh Allen hasn't, he plays really well, obviously, but he hasn't done anything yet, just as much as anybody else in the NFL.
I think what has to happen is if they face the Jags in the first round and they lose to the Jags, I think that's what will set it as like, okay, it's time for criticism. And this isn't a comment to diminish the Jags, because their defense has played well all year. Their offense has looked so much better the second half of this season, and they've been playing great football. But I think just um, I don't even know what the right word is, but like when you think of the Jacksonville Jaguars, you don't think of a good football team. And so I think that, as unfortunate as that is for the Jags, if they win, if they are to meet up with the Bills in the first round and they win that game, I think that's like finally the moment where people will be like, ew, he lost to the Jags in the playoffs. Like, what's going on here? Even though he deserves criticism prior to that, I think that would probably be what sets it off. I feel like there's no excuses at this point for Josh Allen and this Bills team, where, like you said at the beginning of this, they don't have to face Joe Burrow. They might not have to face Lamar Jackson, and they definitely don't have to face Patrick Mahomes, who have all been typically in the playoffs. And he might not have to face any of them. So
Yeah, and he
I
has
think
the
if he
most
loses in the
experience coming in.
yeah, he's if and I, this isn't to take anything away. Like, I still think Josh Allen's a great quarterback, but nobody's perfect, and everybody deserves a criticism. And if you're as good as everybody is crowning you to be, this is a year where you aren't facing the cream of the crop quarterback wise in your side of the playoff bracket. You got to at least make the Super Bowl.
I think that I think there's multiple things, and we'll get into this in our last segment of the day. If they don't make the Super Bowl, there's massive there. If they don't win the Super Bowl, there's massive changes coming. Whether that be coordinator changes, I think a potential head coach change. This is the year to win the Super Bowl. If you're not able to win the Super Bowl in this landscape, then this is that you're never going to get it done. You're never able. If you were never able to get over the Mahomes hump, and you would never be able to beat that one team that beats you every single year, then once that team is out of the playoffs and you still can't get to the Super Bowl and potentially win it, then what are we doing here? This isn't it.
Because if you look at it, the AFC is only getting more difficult. Like
Yeah.
now I'll say this. This is the first year that the Jags have been good, but they are potentially trending in the right direction here. It looks like Trevor Lawrence has finally gotten it under control, and I think Liam Cohen's a good coach. Now you got to deal with them. Now you got to deal with the Patriots. Drake May, probably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, if not the best. Um, and they're well coached. And they're in your division. So there's two other teams. Oh, the Houston Texans, you're going to have to face them too, potentially. That defense is a top 5 unit in the NFL, and you could make a case that they are the best unit in the AFC. So things aren't getting any easier. It's a down year for the Ravens, too. And how many years are the Ravens really going to have down years as long as Lamar Jackson's their quarterback?
Who knows? But yeah, I'm
It's
right
not
here
getting
with you.
easier. It's not
Yeah.
getting any easier. So I think that I do agree with you. I think there will be changes made if they do not make the Super Bowl, which I think it's probably time. I don't know what changes they necessarily make offensively because we've seen both iterations of Josh Allen where it's Josh Allen with a top 10 receiver and they couldn't get over the hump, and Josh Allen with a more balanced offense, I guess you could say, where he didn't have to feel like he was force feeding one guy. So I don't know what the solve is for them from an offensive standpoint because I don't love the wide receiver group that they have. I don't think they're good. But if he couldn't get it done with Diggs while Diggs was playing some of his best football, what is the solution there offensively? Because I like the run game. I like James Cook. I think they have a good offensive line, but what do they do?
Well, GM's probably going to be fired for
Yeah,
bad picks, and I think that there's potential head coach change as well. I mean, I think that's the reality of the
yeah,
situation. So,
yeah.
do I think that they're going to go and win the Super Bowl this year? No, I don't. I don't think that they're
Me
good
neither.
enough. I don't think the defense is good enough, and I don't think Josh Allen's good enough. I just never have thought that. So, they're not a team that is on my radar. I hope he proves me wrong so we can see it happen and watch him get over the hump, but I am going to bet against the Josh Allen inconsistencies on a week to week basis and a bad defense where they can show up from time to time. But like if they're not there, like I think that they in a playoff matchup, in a 1 game matchup, like I think that there are some very broad ways for them to get exposed.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they can put it together for like a half, and they just showed that this past weekend. But can they put it together for, let's say, like a game and a half, where they put it together for like a half of each one of these games? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, competition's getting better now that you're in the playoffs. Um, Teams are better. I just don't think they have it. I don't think they do. And if they do, and Josh Allen somehow goes berserk, hats off to him. I mean, he
Yeah.
might be the best quarterback ever if he pulls this one off.
Yeah. I'm right with you on there. Okay, to continue about teams who I think are potential frauds, I think one of the most fraudulent teams in the entire NFL this season are the Los Angeles Rams. And I understand that this could be one of those takes that like you could like look back like on Super Bowl weekend and they're playing in the Super Bowl and you could be like, wow, that was really stupid. But in like my heart of hearts, like I watch them on a week to week basis and I just don't love them as much as like everybody else does, where they have like again like this like charm to them where like everybody's like super big on like the Los Angeles Rams and what they could be because they are a fun offensive team and their defense has been playing at a very high level this year. And I get it. They have all of the metrics and the stats to back up the fact that they're able to be one of those teams to get over the hump and go back to the Super Bowl and potentially win it this year in the NFC. And you basically said it, like it's wide open this year. But like when I'm looking at these teams, I'm trying to figure out like which teams have like these like weird holes in them And I think that the Rams are one of those teams that just have like they're fraudulent almost at times where it's like, what's good with them? And why do they drop these weird games? Why are they giving up these big comeback losses and having all of this crazy stuff happen to them? And like I said, in a playoff matchup, in a one game matchup, like I could see them. We're sitting at a point now where they just lost home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Can the Los Angeles Rams go on the road for 3 straight games this postseason and get to the Super Bowl? Not only do I think that that's not possible, I wouldn't be shocked if there was a world where they're a first round exit based on who they're matched up with. So again, I just wanted to go over um some of the losses this year. The Eagles loss where it was that like brutal comeback. The fact that the Eagles even got back into that game was insane. The Eagles then blocked the field goal, return it for a touchdown, the whole nine. Then the first 49ers loss against Mac Jones. Then the Panthers loss where they just flat lay an egg against the Panthers. I mean, they obviously put up some points on offense, but Matt Stafford, it took him a long time to get going in that game. Then you have these back-to-back losses where we first start with the Seattle loss where it's like the Rams are one of the best teams in the NFL. Like, look at what they're doing to the Seattle Seahawks. They have Sam Darnold code crack. And next thing you know, the Seattle Seahawks come charging back, win the game, and get it done. And it's like, that's another bad loss. And then you watch last night in primetime, and I texted it out to my group chat because everybody was like, what's the move tonight? I'm thinking Rams -7. I was like, I'm thinking it's Atlanta money line. And we all took Atlanta money line, boosted 30%. Like, and obviously they go and they lose to the Atlanta Falcons in a close one. But I mean, they were down 21-0 early to a team who's very bad. You go down 21-0 early to some of these playoff teams who are in there. I don't think that there's a roadmap for them to potentially come back for that. There's going to be teams that smell blood in the water, take them into the deep end and let them drown.
They'll just sit right on you. Yeah.
Like I said, do I think that they can go on a 3-game playoff road game win streak to get to the Super Bowl? No, I don't. And again, I'm hesitant that they could even win one. So where do you stand with the Los Angeles Rams?
I think you mentioned them having holes. I think that pause. No,
I gotta cut that. Sorry.
Okay. I think them not having Devontae Adams hurts them offensively too. Yes, thank you. I think not having Devontae Adams offensively has not helped them. I think that he would have certainly been beneficial for them last night. He gets like the most red zone targets in the NFL when they get down to that, and he's been one of the best red zone weapons in Los Angeles for them this entire season. So I think that them not having him hurts. The other thing that I noticed last night, that left tackle DJ Humphries, I think his name is.
He sucks.
They can't play him in a playoff game, or they're absolutely cooked.
Yeah.
So he pretty much he lost them. It's not one person that loses you a game, as you know, but that guy, it felt like every time a big play was made, like Puka had 2 touchdowns called back because of holding by that guy. So they've got to come up with a solution for the left tackle position. Otherwise, they're not making it. So
yeah,
I think that's what held them back against this Falcons team. The Falcons are also the most spotty team ever, maybe. Like, they have guys, and Bijan is insane, but there's no reason that the Falcons should have won that football game last night. I go back and forth with the Rams because I think when they're playing at like their best level, they can beat anybody. I think Stafford has just kind of shit the bed last night. He had 3 interceptions, which is not very Matt Stafford of him. I don't know if that's something that we'd continue to see. I really doubt it, but I think they're just going through a stretch, like a 2 rough game stretch right now, where they're probably thankful they've got the Cardinals coming up, and that is like a get right game before the playoffs. Otherwise, I think they would be in a much worse situation.
No. What if the Cardinals play spoiler? I mean, this could be a
That'd be
situation
great.
where they could spiral.
That would be great. And I will say the way that it's set up right now, they do have to go on the road to Philadelphia in the first round. And Philadelphia has not been a kind place to the Rams on the road these last few times. So
No.
it's a tough spot to play, especially when it's cold out. I don't know. I think when the Rams are playing at their best, I think they can beat anybody, but they're not they're by far not playing their best football right now. And that's not a spot that you want to be in heading into the playoffs.
There's a few things here. I do worry about the Tay Adams hamstring injury at the point that it happened in the season, and I don't think that we'll see Tay Adams be 100% for the rest of the 2025 season.
It's too late in the year. That play where he got injured 2 games ago?
Yeah.
Bro, I thought his hamstring exploded.
Yeah.
That's how it came across when you were watching that game as he was getting up off the field. Like, I thought he was done for the year. So mix that in with playing in the cold in Philadelphia week 1 on a hamstring that's at 60-50%. That's probably an early exit for Tay if that thing starts to flare up again.
I don't think we'll see him at 100%. I have major questions about this offensive line. You alluded to it already with the DJ Humphrey situation. I just don't think that they're very good. And Blake Corum has had some splashy games, obviously, and looks decent, but I don't love Kyren Williams. He's fumbled in some major. He had a fumbling bug last year. He's fumbled in some major spots over the years. And again, I think that I don't love the run game. I don't love the offensive line, and I don't love the fact that if Tay Adams is out, that wide receiving core starts to look a little slim. But obviously, you have Puka Nacua, so that helps. And then on the defensive side of things, the fact that Emmanuel Forbes is one of their premier corners at some point, and I don't know, it might not ever happen again. Maybe he is this good. At some point, I feel like that gets exposed as well. And obviously, they have the pass rush to potentially combat that. But
yeah, that's what it is.
I do have somewhat questions about their secondary as well. I just think that although they've played really well this season, going into the playoffs, I'm looking at these teams that have holes, and I'm starting to plant flags, similarly to how we did last year, around this time with some teams who we didn't think were going to win the Super Bowl. And I just think that this is one of those teams that I'm planting the flag on, is the Rams cannot win the Super Bowl this year as currently constructed.
Going into the season, one of the red flags we had for this Rams team was their secondary. And yes, you alluded to it, they are playing better. And the pass rush 1000% helps out. But you get into a game where you have to cover. Let me just see here. I mean, I know that the Eagles offense is the most night and day offense in the NFL, but having to match up with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith,
Dallas
Goedert 30 times a game is not going to be fun. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if the Eagles are even going to be the matchup. That's the reason I keep alluding to them. But if it ends up being, let me see what the playoff picture kind of looks like here. I mean, where would the Rams end up falling? Because right now they're at 6. Would they be the 7 seed and they have to play Chicago at Chicago?
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck. It's colder there than it is in Philadelphia, and they actually might have their receivers back by then.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup. They're in a tough spot. Losing that home field, I think that home field advantage for the Los Angeles Rams potentially was everything for them.
Yeah, I completely agree. They had to go on the road last year, and we saw how that played out.
So planting my flag. Los Angeles Rams will not win the Super Bowl this year. I'm thinking that they potentially might not even win a playoff game, which would be crazy. Sounds like you might be thinking similar to me, but we'll obviously watch that play out.
Yeah, I'm just I want to see what the final bracket looks like, but they're just such a shaky team, and I don't love the way that they've been playing these last two games.
Definitely not. All right, let's move on to the last thing that I have here today, and that is Black Monday is approaching, not Black Friday. Black Monday is approaching, and what moves I'm predicting to have happen. And I want you to react to what I have here because I think that this could be potentially the most active we've ever seen a Black Monday with potential coaching changes, GM changes, the entire nine across the board. Because just I think that there's a lot of guys who think their jobs are potentially safe, or maybe they don't know that they're potentially safe, and they know that they're on the chopping block as the season ends. And I want to first start that I have 2 GMs and I have 10 head coaches that I think that we could possibly see turnovers with this offseason.
All right.
I want to start with Jonathan Gannon and the Arizona Cardinals, where he has put on an all-time bad clinic of what it looks like to be an NFL head coach. I know that there are some rumblings that he's safe. There are the fans, the season ticket holders, the people online constantly calling for his job, and the fact that they are not even going to be able to sell season tickets. People are threatening to stop buying their season tickets because the games are getting cheaper than what they pay for their season tickets the entire year. At the end of the day, there is some pressure that the ownership in Arizona has to feel with how this season has went and how the fans feel about Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon has done nothing exceptional. We've gone over it a million times. He can't beat anybody. He can't beat anybody in interdivision. So what's the point of keeping around? It's probably time that he gets gone. And he's the first guy that I have on my list here today.
There's rumblings that his job is safe.
If that happens, I mean, there will be a big podcast that me and you'll be that will be had. So, but yeah, as of right now, that's what I'm hearing.
That is the most outrageous rumbling I've ever heard because they have taken the largest step back that they possibly could have from last season to this season. You would have never thought that the same guy was coaching this version of the Arizona Cardinals as he did last year. At least last year, that team, week in and week out, was fighting. They showed some heart. They were battling in these games. This version of the Arizona Cardinals, and albeit they've had injuries more so than what seems like a lot of teams, not even remotely close to the amount of heart or fight that team showed last year. So, on top of benching their quarterback.
We've gone over it a million times.
So
we hate
I don't.
I'm with
don't
you.
Get it.
Well, if it happens, we'll have a very deep conversation about it. But Gannon's first on my list. Next, I have John Harbaugh. I don't think it matters what happens. If they win a Super Bowl, maybe we'll have a conversation about what's possibility. I don't think, though, that that's a possibility. I think that I've said it before. His voice is growing stale, and I think it's time to just make a change in Baltimore, honestly. So that's another one. The next one on my list here is Todd Bowles. I think he's coaching for his life this weekend against the Carolina Panthers.
He's so done.
If he can't get the job done this week against the Carolina Panthers and sneak into the playoffs, I think that they'll make a change. I think that if he does make the playoffs, and even if they lose first round, I think he buys himself a little bit more time.
Dude, they have to move on from him. He stinks.
I'm with you. That's where I'm at. Next, Mike Tomlin. I know that it's been reported that it would have to be like a mutual parting. I could see after let's just hypothetically say that they don't make the playoffs this weekend. I mean, obviously this week 18 game pretty much signs, seals, and delivers that. Or if they're another early first round exit and they don't win a game, I could see them sitting there and being like, all right, you can't get it done. Let's just mutually part ways. So I think Mike Tomlin's another one in the Steelers job. Pete Carroll is done after the season. I mean, that's as good as gone. Kevin Stefanski, another one who has just evaded all the hate in the world. It's insane to me. He is an awful head coach. Every single year, they continue to put out mediocre performances, mediocre seasons, and stack it on top of each other. I feel like at some point the Browns are going to have to make a change.
I want to chime in on that one. I think he is a better head coach than you think, but I do think
what has he done?
I just don't think he has had anything to work with at the quarterback position. But I want to say this:
Isn't he the quarterback guru?
He was good when they had Baker.
They signed Deshaun Watson, and it was a disaster.
You don't put any blame. No, hold on. Let me finish.
You don't put any blame on Stefanski for that.
No, I do. But okay. I think he's a better head coach than the last handful of years without Baker.
So my question for you,
but I do think it's time for them to move on.
Time out. My question for you is, what has been more impressive for the Cleveland Browns over the past like 4 or 5 years? Has it been their defense or their offense?
Their defense.
Okay,
but their defense has better players.
Has Jim Schwartz done a better job with what he's been given on the defensive side of the football to make them be relevant, like for that 111 win season, than Stefanski has been able to do on offense? Because Stefanski is an offensive head coach. He is coined as a quarterback guy, and his offenses suck year after year.
Yeah, but I think the Browns have had better players on the defensive side of the ball to work with than the Browns have had on the offensive side.
Is that not why you hire an offensive-minded head coach to be able to potentially come over some of those deficiencies that you have on offense?
There's only so many that you can come over.
Okay.
Those quarterbacks have been brutal.
Okay, we just started this podcast out talking about how Kyle Shanahan's able to bring it together.
Okay, but we're not comparing Stefanski to the best head coach in the NFL.
I'm just saying, if you aren't able to get anything out of anybody, you're a bad head coach. So I'm out on Stefanski, and I think he's somebody that could be potentially gone after the season when it ends.
I'm not disagreeing with you that he should be fired. I think that he should, because I think there is a certain point where you have to draw a line in the sand with how bad that this Browns team has been, and the fact that he's been the head coach of this horrible of a franchise for X amount of years. I think it is time to move on.
Yes, and it's a lot of it falls on him. This dog keeps farting, and it stinks in here. I literally thought she pooped. That's why I just turned around. She's dead asleep, just farting. The next one I have on this list is an easy one. Raheem Morris, he's gone. I mean, there's really not much more to say. I mean, the Falcons stink. He's not the guy. They're in a very interesting situation, obviously, as we know. I think he's gone. And now I have these three where it's like question marks, honestly. What the hell is that?
Sorry.
There's three guys on this list now that I have some questions about. I have Mike McDaniels, who has seemed to been able to evade the heat in Miami, but it's kind of like these guys don't really take him serious. There's been constant reports that like guys are late, these guys don't respect him, like this, that, and the third. Why would you keep a guy like that around is like where I'm really confused about, and they haven't really been that successful. So I think that even though reports are that he's safe, it wouldn't be shocking to me if he's no longer the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and I think he immediately becomes one of the most intriguing offensive coordinator hires across the NFL.
See, I think they should fire him. I'm in line with you there, but I almost see a scenario where he becomes the Kevin Stefanski and they end up just keeping him around for like a handful of more years because they're a bad run organization.
It would be interesting, but I do think that there's a possibility that that's true. The next one, I have Sean McDermott. We alluded to it a little bit in the Bills episode. If the Bills aren't able to get it done this year, and you were never able to beat the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and get to the Super Bowl, and the 1 year that the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes aren't in the playoffs, you're still not able to get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl, he's not the head coach then for you. You have your quarterback. You need to bring somebody else in to try to figure out a way to get this team over the hump. So I think that I really do. I think that like if they don't win a Super Bowl, I think that there could be a change made at head coach for the Bills.
I think if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, they move on from him.
Okay, that's fair. The next one and the final one, I have Andy Reid. Andy Reid, I think the run's over. I think there's been constant talks that he wants to retire over the last few years. I think the three-peat possibility was the only reason that he came back. And then after they lost the possibility of a three-peat, I think that they were all so hungry to try to prove everyone wrong and get back to the Super Bowl and win another Super Bowl that it delayed the retirement of some people like a Travis Kelce and an Andy Reid, where now they miss the playoffs. Mahomes has a torn ACL. He's probably going to miss majority of next year, if not all of next year, despite of what he wants to do. I think it could potentially be like the end of the road for the Andy Reid era, where he either retires or they like mutually decide to like part ways. It's based on what the Chiefs have put out over the last 3 seasons, despite winning a Super Bowl, despite going to a Super Bowl and losing. I think that this is kind of the end cap of this era of like the Kansas City Chiefs organization and who Andy Reid is to them.
Yeah, we've talked about this a handful of times. I think that this offseason we're getting a Travis Kelce retirement and a Andy Reid retirement. And it stinks for them that they had to end their season on this, but they kind of brought it on themselves per se, because they knew what
The
they were
wheels fell
working with.
off.
Yeah, they knew the type of talent that was inside that locker room, and they lied to themselves if they thought that they could make it back with what
and
they
that's
were working
eight.
with.
That's 8-9 years of deep runs on a consistent basis, and the wheels finally fell off of everybody. And this is what happens when you do it for this long. And
Yeah.
that's really all there is to it. So I do feel like I do feel as if that list is extremely realistic. Like, do I think all of that happens? Probably not. Like, if there's any that I pick, like I think like Tomlin could potentially stay, and I think Gannon could potentially stay, and I think McDaniels could potentially stay, and McDermott. Like, I don't think all of it will happen, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's this active at all. And because I feel like that it's truly a time where it feels like the tides are due for a change at the head coaching position, just based on like the staleness that could potentially be going on. And now I have some solutions, because who are some potential names that you see? And I feel like a lot of the names, go ahead.
I have one other name that I think you left off. I think Zach Taylor could potentially be gone too.
I don't think so. I really don't.
You think they're going to hold on to him?
I don't know why. I hope so. I really hope that they do.
I feel like if there's some other, I feel like he's not out of place on that list. Like, I think that it wouldn't surprise me if any of these guys were not the head coach of the current team that they're at. And then if you said Zach Taylor wasn't going to be the head coach of the Bengals next year, wouldn't shock me at all.
I genuinely hope so, because I think he stinks. But again, like, they're going to use the excuse like, oh, like Joe Burrow missed majority of the season, like blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what they do every single time. So
yeah, that's true.
I can see a GM change. I could see a potential GM change there personally, more than a head coach. But
I want to talk about the Joe Burrow situation another day, but just something to
write it down. Again, I wanted to give some solutions to the problems here, because I do feel as if like some of the head coaching lists that I've seen, where it's like Lou Anarumo, like I saw Arthur Smith, like it's just like bad lists. I came up with a realistic list, I think, in my opinion, and I'm gonna rip them off and see what you think. Automatically off the list of that I just gave you that people have got fired, I think Tomlin and Harbaugh automatically find new homes no matter what. I think that like they don't take any time off. I think they automatically get hired at another NFL team, no problem at all.
I could see, I don't know why, but I could just see Mike Tomlin being the Las Vegas Raiders coach.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that as well. But I think both of those guys, I want Harbaugh to be the Arizona Cardinals head coach. I think those guys need a complete culture shock and change. And those type two guys bring that type of energy to an organization automatically.
Yeah, those are both two guys that have won too many football games in the NFL and are young enough that it's still worth bringing them in
Oh, for sure.
to coach an NFL team.
Absolutely. So another one that I have on this list is Clayton Adams, the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, who's the architect for the Cardinals' success in 2024. He automatically goes to Dallas and makes that offense a high-powered offense. 2 years ago, when he was with the Arizona Cardinals, they were a top 10 offense by DVOA with passing and rushing. He pretty much unlocked that team, and the second he walked out the door, you saw a lot of the inefficiencies that weren't able to be overcome by Drew
Yeah.
Petzing. He automatically goes to Dallas, and Javonte Williams looks like a brand new guy, and
Yep.
the passing offense looks incredible. I've always been really impressed with Clayton Adams. He's not like a name that like everybody would probably think of like off rip, but I don't see why there shouldn't be a reason why you wouldn't want to bring a guy who's able to accentuate an offense so well, and what is a possibility where you get a guy who's younger who can come in where he's not known as a quarterback guru per se, but who knows what's possible with somebody like him. Another guy that I have on my list is Vance Joseph, who played a massive part in transforming the Denver Broncos over the last few seasons. And he has just put out an elite defensive product year over year. And you just have to give the guy a ton of credit.
Yeah, I think both of those guys. I think that with the way that kind of the NFL has gone, like everybody's trying to find like who's going to be the next like young guy. Even though I don't think it's lost in terms of bringing in sometimes an older guy with experience. I think that that was what the Las Vegas Raiders mindset was as, oh, we can bring in this older guy that's got a bunch of winning experience in the NFL and in college and whatnot, and he can kind of change it. And I just think it one, their roster construction was poor, and two, I think Pete Carroll is probably just a little bit too old. He's what, like fucking 75.
I think
So
he's
I think that
96.
I think you got to find like kind of a middle ground with some of these hires where it's like, yeah, you don't want to go like too old and too much experience to the point where it's like too much to be a head coach. But yeah, I think those are two interesting names for sure.
I'm
And
not done
the
yet.
Cowboys offense looked great.
I'm not done
So
yet. The next one that I have on my list is Clint Kubiak, who has been ascending. He had a really great year with the New Orleans Saints when they stunk. Then he goes to the Seattle Seahawks, and they have one of the best offenses in the entire NFL. And you said it, a guy from the Shanahan tree who's a young potential dog that could be upcoming. He's that guy who like fits that mold. So I have Clint Kubiak on this list as well.
I think there was discussions last year of Kubiak potentially being a head coach, but I just don't think it was. I think it was probably a year or two away.
Yeah, a little one too early. Next one I have on my list here. I don't care that he just got resigned by Notre Dame. I personally think it's only a matter of time. He's the CEO type. I think Marcus Freeman is bound to be an NFL head coach at some point. And I think that it doesn't matter what Notre Dame does. At a point, I could just see him being an NFL guy personally.
I am actually shocked that he did not take the Giants job. Regardless of how bad the Giants are, coaching in New York, being in that market, making that jump from college to the NFL, we talk
You
about it
become
all
a
the time.
superstar.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, how exclusive these jobs are. I'm really shocked he did not take the Giants job if it was offered and if he got to that point in discussions and interviews with them. I know that he was heavily being considered and they talked with him, but I'm shocked he didn't accept it. But I think you're 100% right. He's going to be an NFL head coach someday. He fits into the CEO mold, like you said, of like he's more of like he's more buttoned up, and I don't know. he's like more of a buttoned up and like straight edge version of like Sirianni and Dan Campbell. Like Sirianni's just a dickhead, and Dan Campbell's a like I'll beat the shit out of you. But Marcus Freeman's more of like the politician version
No.
of a head
Yeah.
coach.
I think he'd be good too. I do.
I think he would too.
Next one I have here on my list, I have Joe Brady. Although like the Bill, I think that like what everybody fails to like really see with like this Bills situation is like they've had two offensive coordinators who've been able to put out real high level offenses that like they have had to fire because they try to save face and figure something out. I think it's only a matter of time that Joe Brady becomes a head coach in the NFL. And so I think I have him on my list too. Another guy that I have on my list is Cliff Kingsbury. Despite what people remember about Cliff Kingsbury with the Arizona Cardinals, he was decent and he won games and he cares a ton, and he's a guy who is quarterback friendly. If you have a good potential young quarterback that you're going to be bringing in, Cliff Kingsbury has shown that he's able to get the most out of those guys. Is it long term? He hasn't proven that yet, but what he's been able to do with like Kyler early, what he's been able to do with Jaden Daniels early last year, you saw like the heights of that. The ceiling is just so high where it's like, okay, you can win. Like there was a season where the Cardinals won 11 games and had an early exit. The Commanders won a went to the NFC Championship last year. That's a guy that I think that like underratedly doesn't have enough respect of what he could potentially be as a head coach in the NFL. He doesn't want to go back to college, clearly, to be a coordinator. He took that job of being a quarterback coach for USC because I felt like it was low stakes. And the second that he had the opportunity to go back into the NFL, he took that opportunity. And I feel like it's finally time for him that he could potentially get a head job as well.
Yeah, that was a name that we talked about over last season. Where is he going to jump ship at Washington and end up being a head coach this upcoming year? Turns out he stuck around, but I do think there is probably interest there for him to give it another go as a head coach. So I could absolutely see that.
The last one on the list. He's 30 years old. He's very young. He is going to this is probably one too early, but this guy is going to be a head coach in the NFL at some point in his career. He's the Broncos passing game coordinator, and it's hard to deny what he's been able to do, and that's Davis Webb. He is like the hot
Yeah.
buzz name like across the NFL, like in totality, where it's like he is a guy who's like clearly on everyone's radar. I think it's a little too early, but this is one of those where we can bookmark and like in like 2-3 years when he becomes a head coach, I can be like, oh, I was all over that. So like
Yeah.
I do like Davis Webb and what he's been able to accomplish so far in his career. I think he's really good at what he does, and he's a guy who's quarterback friendly. He played at Richmond. He was a good
Yeah.
quarterback. He played in the NFL for a little bit and just automatically knew that he was going to be one of those guru guys. He's learning under Sean Payton, which I think helps a ton. And the Broncos have been a really good football team and been able to win games over the last couple of years, and he is obviously a part of that. So he's somebody that I would even like to have as potential culture play as well.
Yeah, I was curious if there was going to be somebody from this Broncos offensive coaching tree per se that would be getting any conversations, because I think we both respect and recognize that Sean Payton's a
I
really
gave
good coach.
two.
No, I know that's
Okay,
why
yeah,
I'm saying like those are probably guys from that offensive staff in Denver that they're going to have to start figuring out replacements for in the upcoming years, because if they continue to play good football on both sides of the ball, that's just the way that it goes. Is you're going to lose coaches. Got other teams are going to take chances on the guys that you have on your coaching staff. And if you ask me, I think that poaching somebody from a Sean Payton coaching staff is probably not a bad thing at all. So
no, not at all.
I I think those are great. I thought of this when you said Cliff Kingsbury, but I could absolutely see him coaching in New York.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great, honestly.
I could see him working with a young quarterback over in the Giants, uh, and just absolutely thriving in New York City.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
He'll have models on the sidelines for the games.
Yeah, he will. It'll be like a Jake Paul fight.
Yeah, 100%. I that's those are the head coaches. I have two GMs. There's more that I could probably think of off the top of my head, but these two have just been so bad. And I think it's time for them to move on. The first one I have is Chris Ballard for the Indianapolis Colts. We've gone over countless times the amount of quarterbacks that he has brought in
Yeah.
over the past like
Yeah.
decade, where it's just been like a complete miss, and the drafts haven't looked great as well. Now you have a situation where you trade 2 first-round picks, you trade Adonai Mitchell for Sauce Gardner. You go 1-7 to close out the season. Obviously, they had some quarterback injuries. You missed the playoffs, and now you don't have first-round picks for the next 2 years. And on top of that, you lost Adonai Mitchell, who immediately goes to New York and shows really high-end flashes. And it's like, wow, what an absolute bad trade by Chris Ballard. And I think that it's time. I think it's been time for him to get out of Indianapolis. I think that this was the nail in the coffin to lose that amount of draft capital for somebody like Sauce Gardner, who I like him, but to blow that on a corner when your quarterback position was still in limbo, in my opinion, no matter what happened this offseason with Daniel Jones. And then obviously he breaks his leg and it's like worst case Ontario, or no, he tears his Achilles. And that's worst case Ontario. And it's like, okay, now you're ultra screwed. So I think that the Colts ultimately move on and fire Chris Ballard, which is, it's time. It's been time.
Even if the Colts were to make the playoffs and be a first round exit, I still think that them making that trade was ridiculous with the way that their quarterback situation is set up. Like, that's a franchise where they need to keep they were not in a spot where they were going to win a Super Bowl. Yes, they played really well the first half of the season, but an injury, you were one injury away from screwing the next 5 years of your team from a quarterback perspective, and it happened. So they're in a very tough spot for the next couple of years, and that's not a guy that I want making the decision as to who the next quarterback
we didn't even talk about like the Anthony Richardson miss. Like, it's just been, which was a top 5 pick. Like, it's been bad. Like,
so bad.
And
yeah.
To swing and miss on somebody like Anthony Richardson, and then to give up all this draft capital when you're so much in question. All-time bad job by Chris Ballard. It's time for them to move on from him. Carly Ursa needs to get him up out of there.
And the thing is he's done a decent job putting together a team outside of the quarterback position. But when you can't get that right, you time in and time again, it's like you eventually got to move on.
Absolutely. Sorry, Andrew just sent me a crazy tweet. The last GM that I have on my list here is Terry Fontenot with the Atlanta Falcons. Not much to talk about here. He's done an all-time bad job. The Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix situation has been all-time bad. He gives up a first-round pick, which is going to be a top 10 pick this year, to the Rams for an edge rusher who is a rotational piece for them. The mismanagement of resources when you're taking like a tight end at 3 overall, when like Jamar Chase is sitting on the board, or some of the other, like Penei Sewell, like some of the other high-end talents that you could have used in the trenches or somewhere else. You take a tight end, and then again, like you take a running back in the top 10. Bijan's really good, but like, does it make sense to do that? Probably not. You take a wide receiver in the top 10. Does it make sense to do that? Is he good? Yes. Does it make sense to do that? Probably not. And just continue to make this team look really bad. And in a division where the teams are not great, they really played well below expectation this season, which I forget where you had them. I thought that this is where they would be at just because of who's in charge. And I think that the GM and the head coach are both out of Atlanta this year. And whoever takes that job, they're going to have to be patient, because this is a complete and total rebuild at this point, with Penix tearing his ACL and Kirk Cousins being in the back 9 of his career.
I think I actually had Atlanta finishing in third. I think I had the Panthers and the Bucks both ahead of them.
Yeah.
But
Me and you thought the same then.
But yeah, the future for Atlanta is in such an awkward spot, and that's not a guy that again another guy that I don't trust to maximize the talent and put together a good enough roster moving forward for Atlanta. There's a guy that I just want to. I don't think he's not on the hot seat by any means, but a guy that I'm keeping my eye out on for the next couple years, and I think that's Adam Peters at the Washington Commanders. I'm keeping an eye out on him because I understand that they were good last year and they had quarterback issues this year, but I think Jaden Daniels makes up for a lot of bad on that team.
But you hit on Jaden Daniels. I mean, that's all there is to it. That saves your
know.
job that might save his job for a decade.
It might if he stays healthy. If he
Even
stays
if he's
healthy,
not.
yes.
Even if he's not, bro, if he blows his knee out tomorrow and never plays football again, just the sheer fact that he hit on Jaden Daniels and in year one they made the NFC Championship, I think he has a job for the next decade. I do.
That's crazy. That's even if he doesn't do a single thing for the next 5 years.
Yes. I was just saying he hit.
I don't know,
on
dude.
Jaden Daniels.
He did, and I absolutely commend him for that. And that was a great season. But look at the team around Jaden Daniels that they had, and then look at the team that they put out on the field this year.
I'm with you.
We were all over this team regressing, and I understand that the injury to Jaden Daniels played 100% in that. But aside from Jaden Daniels, that team was not a playoff team if you put them on the roster this year.
Yeah, regardless. Yeah. I'm with you 1,000,000% on that. I just think he got the most important position right. And that's 90% of the battle.
It is, but I'm keeping an eye out for the next coming years. He's not even remotely near a hot seat, nor do I think he should be fired because of because of hitting on Jaden Daniels. But I think that's a guy that I'm watching. I'm keeping an eye out on him.
Perfect. All right, well, that's all I got, pal.
All right, are you ready for this week's blind ranking?
Yeah.
This week is album edition.
Oh, nice.
All right. First and foremost, number 1, we've got Life of Pablo.
5.
Okay.
So there's a reason I say that is at the time when that album came out, there was such a movement to it, and it was very important, like in 2016, and it was awesome and it was cool. Revisiting that album sucks, like low key. What do you think of that? Is that a hot take? Like,
I think it is a hot take, but I don't think I think that to the community, it would be a hot take, but I don't even think that I like the album, but do I listen to any of those songs on there anymore? Rarely.
It's aged like milk, in my opinion. I said this to Q and Sess the other day, and they thought I was crazy. I said to them, Kanye West has peak, and I said this to you and Brady too before, and it didn't get conveyed well over text. Kanye, when he makes a song that is great, it is the peak of peak that hardly anyone is ever able to touch how great the songs are. They're that good. Okay. But I do think that he has a lot of misses. And I don't think that a lot of his albums are as good as people act like they are, but the highs of how good some of those songs are on the albums are so undeniably great. But if in totality, I think that like a lot of Kanye's music that he has put out over the years is like low key mid. Like I
Well,
do
like the
think
Dondas and those
I'm
and
I
the
will even I will give this example because this is what I gave the example to Cess and Q the other day, and they heard me out. Let's
Okay,
just
I'm
say
hearing
this.
you.
They heard me out. I'm gonna go to like my favorite Kanye album ever personally is Watch the Throne. I think that album from front to back is a
Okay.
masterpiece. I love that album. I think it's great. I'm gonna go to the College Dropout. Hot,
Okay.
hot, hot button ticket here, obviously.
Yes.
I think these songs are you can't argue that they're perfect. I think All Falls Down. I think that Slow Jams.
You
I think
can argue that they're perfect.
I think that there's no argument that they are perfect.
So
Jesus
okay, yes.
Walks.
Yes.
So Graduation Day. And
Yes.
then the rest of the songs on this album aren't that good. But I that is just my opinion. Through the
Through
Wire,
the Wire?
excuse me.
Okay.
Through the Wire, Jesus Walks, All Falls Down, Graduation Day, I think are apex mountain. No other artist can make a song that good. Like that's how great Kanye is. Like I'm acknowledging his greatness. I think the
Yes.
rest of this album isn't that great.
Okay. My pushback to you is this. We can only look at it we are looking at it as 21 song album, and that's because that's what it was put out as. I think the fact that there are skits, there's 4 skits on here that you don't need. So that weighs the album down negatively. There's the intro, which is 19 seconds that we don't need. So there's 5 songs here out of 21 that realistically don't need to be on it. If you look at this album in totality of 16 rather than 21, I think he hit on 11 out of 16. That's pretty good.
I disagree. That's just me though. That's fine. I gave you like 4 or 5 songs that I think are great on that album. Not that that's just what I think. And I think going back to the life of Pablo to make this like full circle on all of this is like Father Stretch My Hands Part 1 was one of those songs that like really had like the streets buzzing. That is like an ear sore to listen to at this point, in my opinion. It just all of this is aged very poorly in my opinion. I just think it's a not a bad album because I think like it has a nostalgia piece to it where you like look
Yes.
at it and you're like, man, like that had like a moment. But like
Yeah.
from like an aging perspective, I don't think it fits in like the longevity of like his catalog at all. Where I think that like songs like Slow Jams, Jesus Walks, like all of those songs, like obviously, like those
Play
are
better now.
those are
Yes.
timeless pieces of art.
Yes, those play much better now than some of the songs on The Life of Pablo. I agree with
So
you there.
it sounds like my take wasn't that crazy. That
No,
you didn't
no,
have
no.
that much of a pushback.
I think a lot of people will disagree with you because people are dead set on their Kanye West takes. It's similar to
Yeah,
like the Michael Jordan LeBron debate where
yeah.
you
Well,
can't
there's no debate. There's no debate
you
there.
can, you can't say anything about either one of those guys to give either one of the other guy the upper hand if you're debating with somebody who thinks that the other person's better.
Yeah. There's just there's also that's no debate. LeBron has proven that he'll never be as good as Michael, but there's no debate there. Maybe that's for another day. Let's keep going on the blind rankings list. I'm just saying, dude. I mean, he's proven.
All right.
But go ahead.
We're sticking on the Kanye train. Kids see ghosts.
Oh fuck! I'm gonna put that at 4.
Okay. That was such a weird stretch of like what, a couple years, right? Where him and Kid Cudi put this out, and I'm pretty sure the story behind it was like he made Cudi get back on drugs so they could make this album.
W.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
really, really, I've seen Anthony Fantano has. I think he has this like really highly ranked. Like this is like one of his like highest ranked albums ever. I think just none of this is on like I don't have any of this like on my playlists like ever. I didn't listen to it when it came out. I don't listen to it now. I think Kid Cudi like his apex mountain was like earlier on in his career where he had like the Man of the Moon series that like really hit, but ever since then like everything with him is just like complete like I can just throw it in the garbage and never listen to it again. It wouldn't affect my life ever again. So I feel the same exact way about Kids See Ghosts, where those are two. I'm not going to call Kanye overrated. I would say Kid Cudi's a little overrated in the grand
yeah,
scheme of things. But that's like one of those situations where I talk about like the Drake Party Next Door album, where
yeah,
it's like if you did that in 2009, that might be a completely different situation that we have here, but
yeah,
instead we got it in 2018 and it was like 10 years too late almost.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. Um, okay, next I've got. I don't know if you listen to this one or not, but Daytona by Pusha T.
I did listen to Daytona by Pusha T. I don't hate it. I think it's fine. I'm going to put it at 3 though because it's not something that I love. I the thing with Pusha T is that's a 7-song, 21-minute album that is short, concise,
Yeah.
and does its job for like what it is. Is it in my rotation in any way, shape, or form? No, it's not. I can appreciate it for what it is, but like I'm not like bumping this like on loop at all or like playing it like with like my girl in the car or something.
No, your dog.
Yeah, that too.
Okay. Next, I've got Mastermind by Rick Ross.
I have to look at what's on that album here. I'm gonna automatically though. I'm gonna put it at 2
Okay.
because I want to just leave whatever. I don't love any of these albums, so I'm not gonna leave. I'm not gonna leave the number one. I can't. It's not even. Is Rick Ross that mid that it's not even popping up? There it goes. The Devil is a lie. Mafia music is good. Sanctified, I like that song actually a lot. Yeah, I like this album. I remember.
Yep.
Do I bump this a ton? Obviously not, because I had to like sit here and think. I do think though that I have an appreciation for like how Rick Ross spits. Like I've always liked the way he spits. I
Pause.
like his music. Yeah, big pause. I like his music. I like his flows. Like I like his beat selections that he picks. Where like it's almost like he makes the type of music that you like cruise around to with like the windows down type shit and like just like enjoy it. And
You
so
go
yeah,
get a burger.
I'm gonna put that maybe a few and put that at number 2.
I think that this album cover, this isn't the one that I'm looking at is not the regular one that I'm about to talk about, but the album cover where he's there and the gun is shooting and the other side of his head is blowing out like all these different colors. I think that's sick.
Yeah.
This is an album that I end up coming back to listen to a couple songs like twice a year for some
Okay.
reason, and then I'll just like bump it for like a few days for like 2 times a year, and then I'm good until the next year. I do think there are a handful of good ones on here, but Sanctified was my favorite when this album came out. That shit was
Yeah, that's
banging.
a banger. Yeah, that's a banger.
Yeah. All right. And lastly, I've got Trilogy by The Weeknd as your number
I mean,
one.
I'm happy with I'm happy that's number 1. That's a great album.
Yeah, it is. It's probably one of my favorites of all time, I would say. I don't think.
I will say that real quick. I want you to tell your story on that, but I just want to tell mine because it's quicker and if you have some resonation to it. I like the splits on the album personally.
Yeah.
I like the feel and the vibe of this entire album. And this was like the 2012 era where like The Weeknd was probably at his peak before he got into like making like real pop music. And this is the
Yeah.
type of shit that you can play. You can definitely play late night with your girl if you want to. And the song with him and Drake on this album, The Zone, is one of
Yeah.
the best constructed songs ever made, with both of them playing off of each other really well. There's obviously a ton of highs on this album as well that you can get into it when you talk about it. But yeah, I am extremely happy that this is my number one pick on this blind ranking.
This is, as far as like a 3-part collection of music, I think this has to go down as one of the best that we'll ever, like, the best that we'll probably ever experience. You talked about the Drake song already. High for this is incredible. Where is this other one at? The Zone is what you mentioned. Same Old Song with Juicy J. For some reason, like, that song will always hit to me. It's just so good. And it's weird because I still won't find myself listening to this album even a ton, but every time I do, like, my appreciation for it is just
gross.
Like, holy crap. Like, he was making this 13 years ago. Like, if he made that now, I would, like, the evolution of The Weeknd is so crazy. Like, he's gone from this very slow, like, melodic, sad heroin type music to upbeat pop. You could listen to it in Urban Outfitters. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I do like some of the new music that he's put out, but his development has been, like, very, very enjoyable to watch, I'd say. Because I've liked the albums in between this and Hurry Up Tomorrow. Like, Hurry Up Tomorrow, I'll be honest, I didn't listen to a ton, but like, I enjoyed Dawn FM a lot. I still listen to that. I thought Starboy was pretty good. I thought there was moments on there that were great. Beauty Behind the Madness has some other good songs on there as well. He's just, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about him. He's
one of the greats. Yeah, he's one of the greats. That's all there is to it. But yeah, I'm happy with that blind ranking. I did want to introduce everybody and you as well to Una. This
Una,
puppy,
welcome.
And she's tired right now, so she's not.
Welcome to Scary Hours.
You're not going to get that type of energy that I was hoping to, because I just woke her up and she was like sleeping. But this is her. She's great. She's very, very calm. Come up. She doesn't. She's like,
I'm not ready for showbiz yet.
She's just she's a great dog. She's very calm.
Got her what, like a week and a half ago?
Yeah, I'm very happy with. Here, I'll put you down. Hold on. Okay, she laid legitimately right back down, so she's tired still. But she's sleeping already. She's great. I think I'm happy with the purchase. It's a Shiba Inu. I've taken her out in public and people have literally like been like freaked out almost, like, what kind of dog is that? Like, she's beautiful, like blah blah blah. I'm like, well, yeah, like, so I've been wanting a puppy for a long time, got one for the family, and yeah, I mean, she's great.
You're locked. Welcome to stardom.
Yeah, literally. She's staring at me, so I think she's hungry. It's dinner time currently. I'm on a strict schedule. I'm gonna put all of this up, but great episode. Enjoy the new year. It's been a great birthday. It's been a great Christmas. So that's all.
Yeah, today's your birthday.
Yeah, so that's all there is to it. So
62.
We'll be back. Yeah, 62 years old, and we'll be back in 2026.
I just spit it. Good girl, we're getting paper as a pass.